Reaction right there from Byron York of the Washington Examiner. I don't know, Byron, whether this is a preview of coming attractions and how the new party makeup will adjust and sort itself out. What do you think thus far?
Well, first of all, this bill is likely to pass at some point. I think the objections that you just heard Rand Paul say, we're going to get this 3,000-page bill thrown on our desk, told we have an hour or two to vote on it. That's absolutely true. That's what's going to happen, and it's what's happened in the past. But there's this bigger debate going on right now about a long-term bill, and the two sides are this. Republicans are saying, look, this bill has been written by a House controlled by Nancy Pelosi and a Senate controlled by Chuck Schumer. Why don't we wait until Republicans control one of the houses of Congress, and then we can get more conservative priorities in the bill? And I think in any normal time that makes sense. But there are some Republicans in the Senate who are saying, look, when Republicans take over the House, it's going to take them a while to get organized. This bill needs to be done quickly. What they're not saying out loud is they're wondering if Kevin McCarthy really has the votes to become Speaker. Maybe the House will get bogged down in a fight over that for a while. And they want to push defense spending and also aid for Ukraine out the door as quickly as possible. So they'd rather make a deal with Democrats right now than wait for Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans to take office in January.
You know, you mentioned Republicans, Byron. I was looking forward to having you on because I've noticed something develop over the last few days, picking up pace, a growing willingness on the part of Republicans, maybe expressing frustration with losing a gettable Georgia Senate seat with Donald Trump. I want you to listen to this.
Anyone seeking the presidency who thinks that the Constitution could somehow be suspended or not followed, it seems to me would have a very hard time being sworn in.
The Democrats in many cases were able to kind of turn it into a choice election because of Trump's presence out there. So, you know, was he a factor? I don't think there's any question about that, because a lot of the candidates that had problems in these elections were running on the 2020 election being stolen. And I don't think independent voters were having it.
President Trump lost again. And I know a lot of people in our party love the president, former president, but he's, if you will, the kiss of death for somebody who wants to win a general election. And at some point, we've got to move on.
What happened in Georgia again last night, that's a center-right state. That if you get things done correctly, you're going to end up with a margin of victory like Kemp had. So all of those issues we got to get better at, or we're going to be disappointed.
What did you think of all of that?
Well, I think that what Trump's statement about the Constitution, that he would support terminating some electoral provisions in the Constitution in order to be reinstated to the White House now, or to have a revote of the 2020 election. You know, I think that was just too much, even for some of his supporters, and is pushing him further and further into a situation where he has a real hard core of support, but everybody else is kind of ready to move on. But the bigger factor for Republicans, the bigger factor is the fact that he hasn't been winning. If you look at the Senate races where Trump thought it was important enough to travel to the state and do a rally for an individual candidate, for the candidates who were newcomers, first-time Senate candidates that Trump endorsed and pushed hard, there were 7 of them, and he lost 5. He won in Ohio, he won in North Carolina, but then he lost in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, Alaska, and most recently in Georgia. So Republicans are saying this is a losing path, and I think that has more influence on Republican feelings about Trump than anything.
So a lot of them, used to be, afraid of him, afraid to challenge him, afraid to invite his wrath. Now it appears the political emperor had no clothes, and I'm wondering if that's going to, embolden those who want to take him on for the 24 nomination do that, because as you know, famously, he has said that would be an act of a challenge that wasn't showing honor and loyalty to him. So where do you see this going?
Well, there was a belief in some of the early states like Iowa a while back that if Trump were to declare his candidacy, it would clear the field. And that just seems not to have happened now. And I think it's clear that we shouldn't overstate this. Trump remains very influential with a really substantial part of the Republican base, maybe as much as half of it. That's a big deal. But there's no doubt that he is losing altitude, both in the party and in the general electorate. There was a recent poll by Marquette University Law School that did hypothetical 2024 head-to-head matchups. So they did a head-to-head matchup between Trump and Joe Biden won by 10 points, 44 to 34. They did a head-to-head matchup between Joe Biden and Ron DeSantis, and it was tied, 42-42. So that's an indication, I think, of other candidates, other figures growing in influence in the Republican Party, even as Trump, struggles to stay on top.
Got it. Byron, very interesting having you on. Thank you very much.